Hi guys, Lelania here, or as many of you know me as JoJo. Bear with my voice. There's a couple things going on with that right now, and I'll share that as this goes on. First, I know you might have been drawn to this video because of the title. And before I go into those topics, I want to share what's been happening with me recently that even led me to look at some of these things. Some I've looked at for a long time, and or looked at a long time ago, or so forth, and then new developments recently. But what's been taking place in my life actually kind of created the perfect environment for this last series of looking at something. And let me explain what I mean by that. This has been a really rough time for me. You know, those of you who know me or who are connected with me on social media, who read my blog and understand my journey, know the immense work that I've done to regain my health and the progress that I've made in so many areas. You know, it's really interesting. This is December of 2017. This is almost 6 years to the day from the day that I sat on my couch planning my own suicide, and I heard a voice that was not my own that said, "Not yet. There's more." And it was the first time I had ever heard that voice, and startled more by the realization that that was not my own voice. Certainly not in that moment. A feeling in me that maybe I'm not alone. And at that point in my life, I felt so alone, so lost. And at the time, those of you who follow my journey, I was, 430 pounds, in a wheelchair, on multiple medications, just at the lowest low of my life. Completely drowning in my own victim mindset due to my own suffering in life, self-created, for the most part, self-chosen, should I say, and at that point not understanding any of that, just knowing that this voice had said to me, "Not yet, there is more." And it was in that I decided to do something really drastic and walk away from my life as I knew it, or roll away for that matter, and on more than one level. And I sold everything I owned and bought an old junky travel trailer, and I didn't even have a truck to tow myself, and I got towed away by strangers, and spent 3 years living in a travel trailer. And the first year was in that first travel trailer that I healed through the process of painting a tree of life on it with house paints, mistake paints from Home Depot, and I worked hard to get off of all the medications that I was on. And while I still suffered from lack of mobility and daily chronic pain, I found other ways to address it. I found ways that made me feel more empowered and did not impact my emotional state, my mental state, the way that the many medications that my doctors had me on for years did. I started studying everything. I became this sponge, and I began studying everything in relation to, herbs and roots and foods and combinations of foods. And I started studying Eastern medicine philosophy. I started studying cultural diets in relation to, like which country has the highest Alzheimer's rate, dementia rate, cancer rates, and so forth, and finding the commonalities that these lower rate countries have in common, like the probiotics in every meal, and certain herbs like turmeric and ginger and things that they use, and began to learn more and more, and applied this in my own life. Learned about our connection to eating animals and dairy products, and the work that does in our body, and so forth. So anyways, as those of you who followed my journey know that I'd lost a lot of weight, and while my mobility is still very limited, I don't live in a wheelchair every day, and I'm able to do much more. Not as much as I want to, but it's a journey, right? And So I've worked really hard to come into this place of really mind, body, spirit well-being, and that seemed to all come to a dramatic halt on October 24th. I was driving and happy and on top of the world and got rear-ended by a car that never stopped and was hit really hard. Because there was no visible like blood, or the results at the emergency room didn't show any breaks in my actual bones. And for the first 10 days or so, I just did what I know to do, to rest and care for myself, and ice, and upped my natural pain relievers like turmeric and ginger and so forth. But instead of improving, I began to get seriously worse as the days went on. I found myself not only physically in immense pain and that growing, but other things going on, like just being in this constant state of anxiety, like having these immense anxiety attacks, but this constant building of being in this place of anxiety, of fear that was so foreign to me. I've considered myself to be quite fearless my whole life. Really spent a lot of my life denying my fears. And over the past 6 years of this journey of self-healing and self-love, I've worked immensely on facing my fears and recognizing them, but there was still so much in me that I didn't realize that I wasn't allowing to surface. And so several things happened in this state of anxiety. An increased amount of memories began to surface, and I'm talking early childhood memories that were extremely painful, and my attempts to resuppress those were very ineffective in this state of feeling so weak and in pain, and just adding on top of that, there wasn't any emotional, physical, or spiritual strength within me to deny these memories or feelings coming up in me. So that was occurring. A lot of these memories were repressed. Memories I haven't remembered my whole life. And luckily, I have my beautiful sister who remembers most of our childhood very well and was able to validate a lot of that for me and work through it with me. I found an amazing chiropractic naturopathic doctor to go to, and he explained to me what was going on with regards to the injuries to my brainstem and what the accident did, the traumatic event, and increasing my cortisol, and why I'm stuck in this fight or flight. And when he explained it, I literally burst into just blubbering tears in his office and said, I was about to make some dramatic life decisions. During all this, I had gotten this strange idea in my head that I should move out of my sister's, that she was better off without me, that I should make a plan to leave, because there was all these fear-based thoughts going on in my head of basically, when I'm not of value, when I can't produce some sort of service, that I should go and be alone, because then I am a burden. And these are feelings that I'd lived with my whole life. And while I've worked the last 6 years to deeply come into the understanding and practice true vulnerability and knowing how to ask for help and accept it when it's offered, when I need it, I didn't realize how much I still held on to those foundational beliefs created from a very young, traumatic childhood of extreme abuse and neglect about my worth only being in taking care of others. And I was shown a couple things. I'm going to jump around a little bit here, and I'm going to tell you this is going to be a little bit of a long video. But there's some really valuable information in here, and if you were drawn to the topics in the description of this video, I suggest you follow along. And if you're just curious about those topics, this is a good place to start, because I'm going to share kind of what happens when we look at that stuff, and it'll all make sense as we go on in this video. I am a powerful manifester. We all are. Every single one of us. And I have come to know a knowingness within me on my journey in the past 6 years of really coming into the ownership of what I chose. The choices I've made that have orchestrated the life that I'm living. And coming into a place of total responsibility, total ownership of so far as really believing within me that I chose this life, and there's a reason behind it, and I chose my parents and my environment, and I chose this life, and coming into that much empowerment, and then all of my choices throughout my life, after forgetting that one initial choice that brought me into this incarnation, all of my choices created the perfect environment for me to have the experiences I needed to have in this lifetime. And I've come to know in the past 6 years what powerful beings we are, how infinite we are, and what amazing manifestors we are. And so I'll just share a couple parts of that. I know if any of my closest friends are watching this, they're going to giggle with me, because they've been privy to multiple discussions over these past weeks. So one really powerful event that took place was when I had made this decision that I need to move out of my sister. She is not nurturing or taking care of me, and I am of no value to her if I'm not doing what I typically do, which is very simple: cook and clean and so forth, to the limitations that I can. But my inability to do any of that right now, to function in any way, and my paranoia and anxiety created this belief that I needed to plan to move. And so I sat down with her one night during this all, and I told her that I had made a plan to move out, and that as soon as I'm well, I'm going to go to work as much as possible in driving as a rideshare driver and save up the money and buy an RV. And I thoroughly convinced my sister that this was a good idea, although I could feel the hesitation in her. We're both at a very powerful place in our own journey of allowing each other our process and not needing to intercede based on fear emotions. And my sister was very cognitive of the emotions that were coming up in her and aware that, okay, let me just let her play this out and see where it's going to go. I'm not going to invest in this emotionally till she makes a decision, because she hasn't been herself for weeks now, and there's something really going on, and I'm just going to be quiet and figure this out. And I convinced her that it's a good idea for me to go back out on the road, and I've been thinking about this for a long time, and all these things. And then the very next day, an opportunity arose for me to purchase an RV, a good RV that would be ideal. There was only $6,000, and all I had to do was come up with $3,000 down, and I could make payments on the rest. And I shared that with my sister, and she was so blown away by the fact that I had just put this out there last night, and we were like, oh my gosh, look at this. And this is how things work in our lives. We think something, and boom, it shows up, right? And so she agreed to loan me the $3,000 for the down payment. So I'm hatching this idea, and during all this, I'm still in the state of total anxiety and not making sense. But the stronger part of me, because I have a very powerful ego who really knows how to project an outward level of got it togetherness, well, I may be screaming and panicking inside, but with those the very closest to me, I just let it all out. So to those the closest to me, it looked like, what the heck is happening to her? And so during this 2-day process of, okay, I need to move out. Boom, RV is presented to me. Boom, I have an appointment with my chiropractor. He explains to me what's going on, and I burst into tears and explain to him that I'm about to make a massive decision, move out of my sister's house and buy an RV and put myself in complete debt. Do something I can't even afford to do right now. But even more than that, throughout this, I'm asking myself, where is this decision coming from? I love my life. I love the support that I have created, the life that I have manifested, the relationships that I have, the home I live in, the garden I take part in harvesting and growing, and the children that I get to impact in my life. And like, why am I doing this? Oh, I have to. That's right, because I'm of no value. And you guys, it felt like I was literally going crazy. And excuse the sniffles. Through all of this, I realized, like, I am making a horrible decision. This is a horrible decision. Like, I'm making a decision based purely from a place of fight or flight. And I called my sister, and I said, after I left the chiropractor, I was in tears, and I was like, I don't want to move out. Like, what am I thinking? She was like, oh, thank goodness. I don't want you to leave. Like, and we have this beautiful connection and talk. And I said, okay, well, I need to call my friend and let her know that I can't buy the RV. And this immense anxiety rose up in me. Every little decision in my life through this experience of being stuck in this fight or flight has been so scary. Like, just every decision. And it was like, oh my gosh, I'm a horrible person. I've committed to this situation with my friend, and now I'm going to say, I don't want your RV. And I said, okay, I recognize that I need to take some time and process this fear, this immense fear rising up in me of having this discussion. And okay, I'm gonna go to the store and get a couple things that I needed for some healing teas and so forth. And by the time I come out of the store, I will have calmed down. I will have distracted myself from this pain and this fear of having this conversation. And by the time I walked out of the store, and it had been a little short amount of time, my friend had sent me a Facebook message and said, hey, I just sold the RV for the full $6,000, so I'm not going to be able to sell it to you for the down payment and payments. And I said, awesome, that is so good to know. Thank you so much. That's actually perfect. And I was again hit with this realization of, I am a powerful manifester. I truly am a powerful manifester, and I am creating, whether I'm in a space of fear or whether I am in a space of love. Like, and I have been shown time and time again how I manifest my perfect reality, and it's always perfect, whether coming from fear or coming from love. So after this event, I really recognized that I'm not in a good place, and I need to focus on my healing and just really surrender to this fear. So everything that was coming up in me, I began to, instead of trying to suppress it, start journaling about it, start talking about it, start working through it, or just fully surrender to it and go, okay, you're here. You're here, memory. And really be present with every emotion coming up. And then once the emotions have been fully welcomed in, felt, and dissipated and released, there was simply the event, without the emotion attached to it, and giving me an opportunity to truly look at these events that occurred during my childhood and my life from a, non-judgmental place without emotion attached to it. And immense writing and healing has taken place through this process. But through this, still with these raised cortisol levels in my body and this fight or flight, I'm getting worse and worse, and more frustration is sitting into the amount of pain. And I ended up in the emergency room with immense pain in my right arm. Like, literally felt like I had been shot with a bullet. Like, my arm was being squeezed, and it was so intense. This was over Thanksgiving weekend. I had to leave my family here and go to the emergency room, and my sister had to take several hours out of the night to come sit with me and to have x-rays and ultrasounds and stuff done to find that they couldn't find anything wrong. And then within 2 days, the pain had dissipated in this arm and moved to this arm. And through this, I began to get sick, like physically, my sinuses, my lungs, like to where I completely lost my voice, full on sick. It was Thanksgiving Day, I remember. And it's interesting, for the past 3 years, every Thanksgiving, my family's down here, and they start spraying our skies really heavy that day. It's like, I don't know what it is about Thanksgiving, but here in the Santa Cruz Mountains of California, like, for the past 3 years, every Thanksgiving has been immense, and it continued all week. And typically I can look at the chemtrails being sprayed in the skies and go, oh, and I've come to this really empowered space of like, I recognize there's chemtrails. I can see them with my own eyes. I've watched enough documentaries on the subject and seen enough evidence that to support this, and even the own government's admittance of a geoengineering program and so forth. And I've moved, really shifted away from being a part of the conspiracy side of that. And what I mean by that is I had initially joined groups, started to really, once I realized that this could be possible and studied it, and I went into this place of fear. This was years ago. And I joined these social media groups and so forth. And what I found in there was it was so just disempowering for me personally, because I recognized that in those groups there was no solutions being offered. There was only, they're trying to kill us. At the same time, I was learning my own power in creating the reality that I live in, and how my choices have contributed to the life that I've lived, and coming into this really empowered space of recognizing that we create our own reality. So while I'm looking at all these conspiracies, I'm going, okay, so I see that this can be true because I'm seeing it with my own eyes. But at the same time, I don't want to stay stuck in a place where like, oh my God, they're trying to kill me and the government is against me, and there was no empowerment in that. So I shifted course and quickly learned different ways. Like if I'm a creator, if I'm a powerful creator, I can look at the chemtrails and I could turn them into whatever I want. And I started practicing when I'd see the plane go across the sky, imagining it was just harmless fairy dust being sprayed on me. And I would literally, it was amazing. There was several instances where by the time the plane had crossed the entire horizon, what was chemtrails, and there's multiple of them in the sky, but now I'm there and I'm seeing this one. This one just dissipated immediately. You know what? Here's the deal. Some of the stuff I may say may sound completely bizarre and crazy to you. That's okay. That's okay. This is my truth. And I've learned to live my life assuming all things are true and all things are false, and discerning what feels very true for me and what comes from as evidence as an intuitive force within me. And now by doing that, I no longer need to disprove anybody else or judge anybody else's discovery, right? Like, or desire to contemplate different things. So anyways, I saw the chemtrails on Thanksgiving. Mind you, I'm in this place of fight or flight. Like, I am in anxiety. And I didn't have that usual empowered, fairy dust idea. Instead, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get sick. And combined with my body being in a state of already a weakened immune system from raised cortisol levels and an overgrowth of candida taking my body over, and at the time not recognizing any of this, I got extremely ill to the point where I was having trouble breathing, almost completely lost my voice. Even more than you know, watching my videos, you know that there's something going on with my voice, and there is. I have a cyst on my vocal cords. Recently found out that I'm going to be having removed. It's either a harmless polyp or a cyst. It'll be tested, whatever. I don't feel that there's anything wrong with it. There's no other signs to indicate that there's any concern there whatsoever, nor would I attach to that. Getting a polyp is something that happens, and I don't have any other symptoms or signs or blood, tests or anything that would be evidence to any type of cancer or growth in my body. And if that were the case, I certainly would not be concerned, because we can heal that ourselves. I've learned so much about that. So anyways, I got extremely sick. Now I am in total shutdown mode. And during this total shutdown mode, I am in complete helplessness and just giving up. A place of giving up, not getting out of bed, only doing the bare minimum that I have to do, and just really in a place of victim of why is this happening to me? Haven't I done enough? Haven't I worked hard enough? Don't I know enough? I mean, like, why would I be put here, stuck in this place of fear? Is this going to last forever? All these immense questions. And I decided to try to distract myself through education, which is something I do, reading books. And then I found myself one day on YouTube, and there was a flat earth video there. And I thought, you know what, this should be entertaining. If this can't distract me, I don't know what will. You know, I've seen flat earth videos show up in my newsfeed. And on YouTube, I've seen, you know, people talk about them on my social media sites. And it's one area that I've always just automatically dismissed. Like, you're freaking kidding me, right? Like, not only not looking at it or investigating it for myself, but truly having a judgment in me about those who would contemplate something so insanely ridiculous. I mean, this is a foundational belief, one of the most foundational beliefs. I mean, we are given this round earth from early childhood. From the moment we can understand anything about the planet that we live on, we're told it's round. And we're taught this in school, and oh yeah, didn't somebody land on the moon? And I see this thing's rotating. And there's so much. It's truly a foundational belief. So here I am, and I'm like, you know what the heck? Like, I'm going to entertain myself and watch this crap because I need to take my mind off this place that I'm in. So I spent an entire day just watching flat earth videos just for the sake of entertaining myself and distracting myself. And it's really interesting what occurred. Within the first couple videos, there was some points made that challenged everything I believed in. Like, really valid points. And I recognized when I am taking in these valid points, my fear levels began to increase. And it was during the second video that my anxiety started to get so high that I had to pause the video and do some breathing exercise, and then bring myself into my place of presence. This is something that I do to pull me back into being the awareness who is the awareness that is observing the state that I am experiencing. It's very simple. I just put my hands in a prayer position, and I breathe until I come out of the idea that I am my emotions or thoughts and drop into, and it's really this feeling of dropping back into awareness, right? Dropping back into awareness and just staying in that spot. And once I did, I was able to look at what these fears were, being able to observe them from an awareness state, and I recognized the challenge that was taking place within me was that this information was challenging everything I believed in, not just the earth being round, and not attached beliefs that a lot of people who look at this or dismiss it and never look at it like I did might have of when they first look at a conspiracy theory. Because I have, like I said, if you tell me there's chemtrails, when I was first introduced to that, I can look in the sky and see with my own eyes that they are spraying us. And I can, I can watch the documentaries and see the evidence from very scientists who, mind you, I've learned to trust my own intuition and my own psychic intuitive abilities to literally, I can feel the energy of somebody when they're talking. We all can. Like, this is a universal gift. We are powerful, powerful beings. Check out my video on There's No Such Thing as the Internet. Just to kind of give you an idea of where we're at as far as being able to connect with each other and know from feeling and tasting, not from our mouths or from our ears, hearing and sensing and smelling, but from a different space. Where there's discernment, where there's discourse, and where's love? Where's love? Where's fear? It's the best way to describe it. When I looked at all this about chemtrails, I was like, oh yeah, we're being sprayed. But like I said, I moved away from the conspiracy side of it. When I learned about GMOs, absolutely. It's very basic. I was that person who didn't give a crap about what I put in my body. I was destroying my physical body. When I changed that and switched to a completely organic diet and, walked away from eating animals and just on and on. I shifted from the, oh my gosh, they're killing me by spraying this guy. They're killing me by putting fluoride in my water. They're trying to kill me by putting poison in my food. And, they're killing us with vaccines. And you know what? Here's the deal. I believe that all that is true. But I also believe that all that is false. And let me explain what I mean by that. When I say assuming all things are true, and assuming all things are false, and discerning what is true for me and what is false for me, and where am I empowered through love, and where am I disempowered through fear, all of these things, I can, a lot of them I can physically see happening. I can see the results of them. However, the conspiracy, theorists, the ones who promote that, Alex Jones and Jesse Ventura and even Russell Brand, I followed him. But these characters, I have quickly come to realize they're feeding the consciousness that actually manifests this reality. And so if we stay attached to these ideas and we start stockpiling guns and putting chembusters outside of our house and collecting food and water, what we prepare for, we create. So I quickly moved away from all that and decided to research, how do I detox pesticides out of my body? How do I detox heavy metals out of my body? Where is my power? And I developed, a regimen of daily, mind, body, spirit, eating and meditating and breathing and so forth that empowered me and improved my health. Through that journey, I also came to understand that my belief about all of this, while contributing to it, my acceptance of it, that it is in a reality that I'm in alignment for. And then my frustration, I'm moving away from this, conspiracy theory, fear-based. Why am I still in this reality? And then working through that. And there's been, guys, we're talking about 6 years of multiple levels here. And now I'm here and I'm watching Flat Earth. And I'm recognizing this is threatening everything I've come to believe in. And let me just give you a couple examples. I can't tell you how many early mornings, as my sleep patterns change through my own awakening and raising of my vibration, I've started waking up between 3 and 5 every morning. And during the winter months, I find myself sitting, gazing at Sirius, a star that I've always felt deep connection to, resonated with deeply, and felt that I have some connection to that system. So I'm looking at Flat Earth and I'm going, are the stars even real? These people are saying they're lights. And oh my God, this is challenging my entire belief and being connected to star family and so forth. And another thing, we're in a bubble. We're in this filament bubble and seeing that this goes deep. This is way back into several religious beliefs and spiritual beliefs throughout history have talked about this filament and seeing wow, there's so much, man. If you can actually watch these videos with a truly open mind and then recognize the fears occurring in you and what parts of you want to reject this, take a break, come back, there's some powerful stuff. And so once I worked through the fears that were arising in me, I quickly realized a couple things. And I went back to watching videos. I literally spent a couple days watching videos. But I realized a couple things while watching these videos and being in a place of awareness. One, I don't know whether the earth is flat or round. Personally, I do not know. And I'm really excited just by the fact that I can admit that. Because man, oh man, oh man, me 5 years ago, even a year ago, would not have been able to be that honest with myself to say, I don't know. I don't need to disprove flat earthers, and I don't need to disprove the government or anybody who thinks I'm an idiot for even looking at it. Because the truth is I don't know. I've never seen the earth with my own eyes from a distance. Yeah, sure, I have seen pictures of it. Watch Flat Earthers and see how you feel about those pictures after watching that. I'm really good at Photoshop, extremely good at it. And I can see that those are absolutely Photoshopped images, and NASA employees themselves have admitted that those are photoshopped images. So, by truth, I have not seen the Earth. I've only seen what has been shown to me. So, I was able to admit to myself that I genuinely do not know. And in that recognition, a couple things happened. One, I started to feel my intuitive, discerning nature rising as I was watching the videos, and recognized that a couple things made more sense to me, felt more true for me. One, I felt complete falsehood in the idea that we are encapsulated in a bubble with an above and below and nothing outside of that. But I felt very open to the idea, of an infinite plane. Infinite plane actually started to, excuse me guys, started to resonate deeply with my ideas and beliefs about different dimensions and there being more than us not being alone. Like, if this is an infinite dimension, there could be several worlds within this dimension. And, you know, I saw another video that talked about the infinite plane, but also still saw us encapsulated in this filament bubble, right? And throughout watching this, I noticed something that made me ask a really, really important question for me. There's like straight up flat earther wars going down, man. Like, and I've seen this in every conspiracy theory circle that I've joined just for the sake of education. Whether it be GMOs, whether it be living vegan, whether it be religion, whatever it has been, anytime I've entered into joining like groups that are having discussions or online forums and read their discussions, I've always seen the same thing. And it's this fighting amongst each other. And in the flat earth community, woo! So, for example, Flat Earth Society, I'm going to tell you right now, like, there is so much information there that literally doesn't make sense to me. And it doesn't make sense to a lot of other people who have been open to even contemplating that the Earth could be a flat plane, let alone the people who actually believe it is and that there's a conspiracy about that. But some of the ideas that are put out there are so just easily disproven that there's a belief within the flat earth community that there's these shills, like these government planted bots, and even within their little groups where they get together in conventions and stuff, there's a lot of drama between them where like they think that some of these are like CIA operatives coming in to make this thing look so dumb, because if anybody else looks, they'll go, well, that doesn't make any sense, that's totally retarded. You know what I mean? Sorry, I try not to use that word, that's horrible. I apologize. But that is a word that a lot of people use when they look at this, right? It's not one that I try to have in my vocabulary, because it's not a bad word. It's really not. I don't think there's any bad words, honestly. It's just our way that we use them, and are those words demeaning or insulting to a part of our population. So I apologize for that. But a lot of people will look at this and use that word, feel that feeling. And so there's all this drama going on in the flat earth community. And I recognized this, and I asked myself a question. A really powerful question that led me somewhere beautiful. I asked myself, are we imprisoned in a bubble, or are we being quarantined? Look at us. Even when we come together and can agree that something is not right, whether it be GMOs or chemtrails or flat earth or whatever, you know, whatever group we come together as, Democrats, Republicans, whatever, Christians, whatever. In every single group where a collection of people shares a common affiliation, there is fighting amongst even them in that group. In every single one. And it really made me ask the question, if I am living on an infinite plane of a flat earth, if this is true, and if there is a bubble put around me to keep me locked in here, am I really being imprisoned? Or am I being quarantined? Because look at us, we are barbaric. And then I thought deeply about my inner knowingness, that I chose to be here. Like I chose to incarnate into this life and to have these experiences. And as I was driving to the doctor 2 days ago, to my primary incomplete tears, because now at this point I can barely breathe. It's 3 days, I don't know how many days, a few days ago. I was bawling, crying. And mind you, I had been in this place of like, why me? Why am I suffering? And there was this defining moment, which I really think looking at all this flat earth has helped me, because I've done a lot of work to really use my discerning intuitive self in this information. Being shocked that this stuff is like, I'm like, holy shit, this could be true. And I'm driving and I'm crying because I'm just not doing good. And there was a moment of clarity. And I said out loud, I understand suffering. I understand suffering in this lifetime. I understand suffering. And I just cried some more and I said to God, I surrender. I surrender. I no longer want to take part in the suffering of any life. Now that I know suffering. And I spent the rest of the day after that appointment really contemplating the gift in that. And the truth in me that in this lifetime I have gained the understanding of suffering. And I thought about the idea that if I have lived past incarnations, I possibly could have lived lifetimes where I contributed greatly to the suffering in this world, and in this lifetime chose a path that would gift me the opposite experience of that, being the one who suffers and truly understanding suffering, and from all levels, being physically, emotionally, sexually abused a good portion of my life, and definitely through my childhood, being neglected, abandoned, and so forth, so much, being raped, all these things that have happened to me, and all these physical limitations, all of it. Those of you who follow me know what I've been through, and some of it anyways, and more is in my book. I had this moment where I recognized, again, and I have these realizations often, how both roles were immensely valuable. My role as contributing suffering allowed others in that lifetime to be on the other end of that and experience suffering. But even more so, my role of suffering through this lifetime has allowed me to know, to understand suffering. And it hit me. If we're quarantined, did we not ourselves agree to come into a quarantine environment? Did we not ourselves create the quarantine? Did we not ourselves take part in this design? I mean, think about it. We're coming in to a realm where all things have their opposite, where free will is the law, where all things are allowed. They really are. I mean, think about it. We have belief systems as thou shalt not kill. But we pay our military, we pay our police to kill. And we vote for the death penalty. Well, I don't, but as a society. We take part in the murder of animals that live in horrendous conditions. We kill insects. We kill, but thou shalt not kill. So we exercise our free will daily to go against our own beliefs and teachings. We say thou shalt not lie, but we don't even blink an eye. When government is shown to lie, we elect them. I could go on and on in that. But let me get back to the point. Did I choose to incarnate into a quarantined environment where I would be able to have all these immense experiences, lifetime after lifetime? And keep going through playing every possible role imaginable for the evolution of my soul, which is a part of the whole. The one, I am the source, and knowing itself. Did I agree to this? And I believe that I did. So therefore, whether the Earth is flat or round, whether we are being projected through space at hundreds of thousands of miles an hour from the sun's trail, and there's all these hypothetical reasons for us not flying off the planet, or we're completely alone, and who knows where the heck that's going. Is there an end to that? Or whether we're living on an infinite plane, quarantined or imprisoned, whatever belief we decide to attach to, I personally think it's quite a little bit more empowering to contemplate the idea that, yep, I agreed to come into this quarantined environment, and if I really want out of it, there's only one direction to go. Within. And to recognize that nobody can truly imprison me or harm me. Yeah, sure, things can happen in my life and to my physical body and so forth, but I am an infinite. I am energy, and I do not die. I simply transform. You as well. It's much more empowering to contemplate the idea that I agreed to this, and to be in a place of not only can I say that it is completely possible that the Earth is flat, just as possible it is that we're being poisoned and all these other things. It's also, I can't say anymore that I know the world is round. I can be honest enough with myself to admit that I truly don't know. And you see, once I was able to make that admittance to myself, I was able to have some discussions. This is where it gets really interesting. I called a friend of mine, one of my best friends, who I talk to every day, and I said, okay, so this is where it gets really weird, really crazy, so don't judge me. She never does anyways. And I said, so I decided yesterday to start studying flat Earth. And she goes, oh my God, shut up. So weird, because yesterday I decided to look at it too. And I was like, just again, here, there's always these little coincidences that remind us of how connected we are, how we're all one, right? And we had some good discussions about that. I brought it up to my sister, one of the closest people in my life, who is extremely open-minded, who has gone through an immense own, complete transformation. And I consider her to be one of the most open-minded individuals that I am connected to. And her immediate response was complete rejection, insulting rejection. And not her feeling that she's insulting me, but when somebody's telling you you're crazy, that's an insult to you, right? And that's just stupid. And what happened was I found myself defending flat Earth to her when really I wasn't saying that I believe. And I had to keep telling her, sis, I'm not saying I believe the world is flat. I'm just trying to have a discussion with you about some interesting ideas that actually have some validity to them. And she completely rejected it. And over the next few days, when I would I'm studying this stuff and I'm going, hey, anytime I would try to bring this up to her or her best friend, she would get really irritated. And I can feel her feelings immensely. We're very connected to each other emotionally, and she's really irritated with the idea that I'm even going down this path. And then there was this moment where the three of us are having this discussion, and I'm trying to defend the fact that I'm even looking at this, and I recognize and I stop and I hold and I go, okay, I want to point out what's really going on here. And our friends that are witness this, I said, this is the debate. We are addicted to debate. I am not telling you that I believe the Earth is flat. However, your insults of me even contemplating this, I am immediately feeling like this offensive attack to where I am defending, and we're going into this, your side, my side, and all I'm doing is saying, wow, I don't really know whether the Earth is flat or round anymore. And I thought about that, how we argue. We don't support open-mindedness. We don't encourage each other. And this is two people who feel very differently about this one topic. But as I'm looking at the Flat Earth community who's interacting on YouTube and going to these conventions and stuff, like the fighting amongst them and the disempowered, we are in prison, they're trying to kill us, like, I am going, holy cow. And that's what led me to the question, like, are we? Or are we quarantined? Because we can't get our shit together. Like, seriously, even in groups of us who agree with each other that this is what we've decided is true for us, even in those groups where we have this common thing, we aren't seeking solutions. We aren't digging deeper and coming into places of true empowerment through self-accountability and contemplating things like, did we choose this? Why would we be in this environment? Why, you know what I mean? No. There's all this fighting that's taking place. I'm like, you're a shill, you're a bot. And it's in every community that we look in, whether it be a religious community, whether it be a political community, whether it be a conspiracy community. Even in our own communities, our own little cliques, where we agree on something, as we're all Democrats. We don't agree to treat each other, our fellow Democrats, or our fellow Republicans, with love and respect. We don't agree to treat our fellow flat earthers with love and respect. We are addicted to debate, and it comes from a very deep place of fear of, in order for this to be right, in order for this to be true, that has to be wrong. What if? What if it's all true? What if we are really that powerful? What if everything in this physical reality is completely imagined? And we're able to project this reality from our beliefs and thoughts about it. What if it's all true? What if for flat earthers, Earth's flat? And what if for the ones who believe that somebody's trying to kill them, blah, blah, blah. You know, here's the deal. When you look at the conspiracy side of that, what benefit is there to tricking the community into believing that they're flying through space on a planet and there's nowhere else left to go? Well, I can think of one automatically, and it's not as diabolical as you would think. I think that the benefit to convincing people that the Earth was round, if it really is flat, would be that there's nothing left to explore. You know, I think in all of us, deep down inside, we're explorers, like every single one of us. But if everything's already been discovered and explored, there's not much left, and you need a degree in this or that to explore further. Boy, we just kind of give into consumerism, right? Like we give into falling into that slave mentality that we live in, right? Like, so there's a benefit to that, to those in power, and I definitely believe that there's those in power, and there's absolutely some idea they have about a plan, but aren't they also playing a role for our own benefit so that we can have the experience of being disempowered? I mean, isn't that possible? You see, I think in all things that we can contemplate and consider, that there's more. There's more. And I think our ultimate goal is to attach to none of it. To become so open-minded that we can admit, well, this feels true and this makes sense for me. I don't know. But I do know one thing. I do, personally. I know I chose to be here. I know I'm energy that never ceases to exist and that I'm infinite. And I know that there's a choice taking place within my life, fear or love. And in this, I actually steered away from looking so much at these videos. I think I got what I could get from all the new earthers. So I chose to expand, and I found myself studying Nikola Tesla. Wow. Boy, that guy really got it. And there was this one interview where he talked about his greatest desire in life being able to unlock the energy that is in plants, that all plant life and earth is created from, and that it's this pure love energy, and to be able to unlock the knowingness within us of that we're created from that same source, love energy. And it reminded me that I live on a planet created from love. So whether it's flat or round really doesn't matter so much. I actually like the idea of it being an infinite plane. Leaves a lot more to explore, right? I don't need a spaceship to get there. But if I want to really get out of here, because I think deep down inside a lot of us feel like we're not at home here, because we're created from love. This is a realm of the opposite of that in a lot of ways, and deep down there's a desire in a lot of us to go home, or at least we don't feel at home here. I remind myself that I wanted this experience, and that if I can stay in that place of accepting that, it's not so much about who's trying to kill me or imprison me or any of that, because the truth is, I choose what to put into my body. I can meditate all day long and go within and connect with my source, by whatever name you call that source by. God, our Lord, Jesus, Buddha. Within is where all the answers are always found. And I feel this immense increase of vibration when I'm in that place of truth, where I shift from fear, hopelessness. I shift into gratitude, to love, to awareness, to connectedness, and my vibration is raised. And I want to mention something about vibration. There's a lot of teachings out there. Raise your vibration. You gotta raise your vibration. Gotta be aware of what you eat. Gotta be aware of what you do. Gotta do this breathing. Gotta do this yoga. It's really important. Raise your vibration. Don't ever be negative. Stay away from everybody. Come on, you guys. You know what I'm talking about, because I've been through it. And there's so much advice out there about how to raise our vibration and all the ascensions, symptoms, and so forth. And we're always, again, addicted to escaping the place that we are in. And I can tell you that through this most recent experience, where I am in this place of fight or flight and a lot of anxiety and no escape from this low fear vibration, I was cracked wide open. And I have come to know that being in a high or a low vibration, they're so often described as good or bad. Higher levels, lower levels. Being in both are equally valuable to my own evolution, my own growth. And that I am reminded again that I came into a realm where I would be able to resonate at both at different times for different experiences. So I just want to say, instead of trying to always be positive, gotta stay positive, I need to always be positive. Be where you are. Be exactly where you are, because where you are is the entry point into gaining everything that is available to you to gain through that current experience. And so, in so of a way that you are able to quickly recognize when you are in pain body, when you are in ego, completely embodied by the victim ego of things being done to me. And I can tell you, when we live in that place of like, somebody is doing something to me, my sister's not taking care of me while I'm sick, or I need to move because I can't be useful, or the government is spraying me, or everybody always cheats on me or leaves me, whatever it is, or oh my god, I'm in a bad place, my vibration is low, I'm negative. Whatever it is, be where you're at, man. Be right there. Because the idea that something is being done to us, or something can happen to us if we're in a certain vibration level, yeah, something can happen to us. We can explore deeper what we need to explore, what is in us and needs to be cleared and healed. And there's a lot of teachings that are being put out there in the spiritual community that are still based in so much fear. Like, it is so important that you do this and this and this and this and this. And we all have to maintain and hold the light for New Earth. And here's the deal, you guys. Like, in that moment of true silence within, when I really go within and surrender to all of it, and I'm in that place where that voice that said to me, not yet, there is more, is present, and great guidance is gifted to me. In the mornings when I awake, after immense downloads and work in my sleep, I do so much work in my sleep, but even more so in my waking and my meditative hours, I begin to do the work and get the downloads. In that space, we can't get this wrong. Like, it's not about right or wrong. And it's not about pointing out who is wrong. And it's not about continuing to fight against. I don't care what you believe. I am not here to tell you that the earth is flat or round, or that the only way to heaven is through Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, or that the Taoism is the way to go. I'm studying that right now. Woo! Good stuff. Liking the Tao. I study a lot. I spent the last year studying shamanism and a lot of indigenous shamanism and so forth, and I study it all. I'm not here to tell you which is true or which is false. I'm just here to expand and to grow and to be in a place of allowing myself to question everything and to discern what is true for me and respect what is true for you. See, I believe that if we could come into a place of at least contemplating that everything is true and everything is false, and no longer fighting amongst each other, we create peace on earth, and if there is a quarantine or imprisonment, that's lifted much quicker by us becoming the beings that we point at other people and yell, "You're not good," right? Like, what if we just lived by the foundational beliefs that we call others out on not living by, right? And surrendered all those judgments we have of who's right and who's wrong, and stop fighting with each other. Instead, the truth is, I only know what's true for me, and my truth is definitely, most certainly not your truth. I respect your truth, and I'm willing to hear it. I want to have these discussions about our truths. We don't need to defend our truths or offend each other's. And our truths definitely aren't the ultimate truth, because there's more. There's more to discover, right? And it's kind of cool that we would be either locked on a planet or locked in a bubble, where at some point we would be forced to only find new discovery, and the only place true discovery exists, within. Who am I being as a human being while I'm doing what I'm doing, right? Open your mind. Explore it all. Decide for yourself what is true and stop fighting with others. If there is truth in something that you believe in that can benefit others to discover it, one of the things that's absolutely going to turn them away from any further discovery of that truth is the negativity that you are bound in, the fear that binds you by the fighting that takes place within the group that you are involved in, and how everybody outside of that group is the enemy. Is the sleeping, is the dumb, is the sheep, and all the other names that we put on those who are believing the things we used to believe, right? Or behaving the way we still are actually behaving, just from a different viewpoint, right? You push those people away from any truth you think you've discovered, or that you now believe, because you see them who you used to be as the enemy. It's like I say all the time, people don't run from Christ. They run from Christians. People don't run from eating a plant-based diet. They run from vegans. And I'm not trying to insult anybody who's made that choice. I'm trying to say that we are addicts. We are all addicts. And when we face addiction and change something, we often have to make those who partake in what we were partaking in, our addictions, the enemy. We have to change our environment completely. And automatically you're thinking of drugs. Okay, well, that's not the only addiction, ladies and gentlemen. We're addicted to feeling better. We are addicted to just feeling better. Because we don't face our fears. We're addicted to feeling better. We're addicted to social media. We're addicted to devices. We're addicted to sugar. We're addicted to sex. We're addicted to relationships. We are addicted to feeling good. Because we think there's something wrong with being in a lower vibration, feeling bad, and exploring that. There's a happy ending to a lot of this for me, health-wise, that I haven't quite reached yet, but I'm well on the journey. I discovered within the last few days that as I went through all this process that I have a massive candida overgrowth. I discovered a connection between cortisol and candida, as well as my immune system and so forth. That's going to be a whole nother video. I'm actually going to make a video and share all of what I learned about that and the intense candida detoxing regimen that I've put myself on, and my sister who got sick as well, and the skin condition. There's so much. I'm not going to go because I've already been over an hour here, and if you're still watching this video, I just want to say that the light in me sees the light in you. And if there's nothing that you take away from this video, but one thing, I hope that that one thing is to seek your place of power. Where is love present? Where am I empowered to free myself? To free myself, right? Where's my ownership for where we are? At the end of the day, for me, each day, I know I'm making a conscious choice in this lifetime, and I'm choosing love, complete reunion with the all that is. Or I'm choosing fear, complete separation into duality. Those choices I know to be present for me in this lifetime. And while it sounds like an easy decision, it sounds like the obvious choice would be love. Surrendering the identity as the individual self is not as easy of a choice as I would have liked to have believed it is. There are aspects of myself that fear not existing any longer. And they're powerful aspects of myself. And they're the aspects of myself that lead me into battle of who is right or wrong in our beliefs. But I'm really excited that I'm at a place in my own journey where I really don't stay attached to that bullshit for long. And I'm not saying what's true or false. One, the true being true and what I deem false being bullshit. I'm saying being in the place that I think that I know the ultimate truth. Therefore, you don't. And that's bullshit. That's me living in my own bullshit. Because the truth is, what's true for me doesn't have to be true for you. For me to see the light emanating from within you. No matter what vibration you are at, no matter what dimension you are cruising around in, you don't have to be your highest self. There's light in you still. None of it's good or bad. Be where you're at. That's the entry point. I love you all. I love you from a place of I've gone over the tipping point and I'm beginning to regain my health, my strength. And I'm really excited about what has taken place in me by being truly trapped in fear and not being able to deny my fear. Fear is a powerful teacher. It is not my enemy. But I could see why I will not be choosing fear and total separation into duality, no matter how many times I have to go through this process of convincing the aspects of myself that want me to remain separate from and alone, separate from that which created me, that they don't cease to exist either. I love you all. Have an amazing, amazing